How's it going, guys? It's Paul Myers, owner and lead therapist of Intentional Counseling. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and today I'm just going to cover some attachment theory basics. Attachment theory has been around a long time. It was created by Bowlby and Ainsworth, two really famous psychologists, if you've ever taken a Psych 101 course. But I'm going to cover the basics of attachment theory because I find it really relevant to today, and it's mostly based on a child-parent relationship and how as parents we can create a relationship and a bond with our children that's very healthy. So on here we have two scales. So down here we have our framework of self scale, which on this side we have a negative framework of self, meaning low self-esteem, low self-efficacy, not feeling secure in ourselves. And then over here we have a positive framework of self. Okay, so that's just one scale. Then we have scale number 2, which is your framework of others. It's the same concept. We have negative framework of others versus positive framework of others. And as you can see, we've kind of categorized the 4 basic attachment styles based on those frameworks, those two axes. So here we have negative framework of self and a negative framework of others. So we call it disorganized attachment style, where we're really getting the worst of both worlds. In this attachment style, the parents are unreliable, they're inconsistent, often they're very much a source of fear and trauma or abuse or neglect even, to where the child kind of gets the worst of both worlds. They have a negative framework of themselves and a negative framework of others. And so what we see in children that have this attachment, as they get older, we start seeing the more problems in their relationships. Okay, so that's the worst of these 4. And then over here we have positive framework of self, but negative framework of others. So this is the avoidant one over here. We've kind of made it into this little quadrant. So that avoidant attachment style, this typically comes from parents that they're consistent, they're available, but when their kid comes to them with their emotional needs or when they're distressed, the parent actually punishes their kid for having needs, or they don't meet the child's needs, right? And so the kid, not only do they not get their need met for comfort when they're distressed, they feel guilty or dismissed or blown off or punished for it emotionally. So it feels very hurtful, like there's a rejection there. Okay, part of it's okay where they have a positive framework of self for the most part. But that negative framework gets cultivated about other people. So I trust me, but I don't trust others. I'm capable, but others are not. Okay. So then over here we have ambivalent attachment style. This is where you have a positive framework of others, but a negative framework of yourself. So a lot of time this style is produced from parents that are really inconsistent and contradictory. So they some of the time they're available and some of the time they're not. Or some of the time they do a really great job and then some of the time they're not there and they don't, right? And so there's really no predictability, there's no consistency or stability there. And so what the child does is they internalize that rather than realizing that has nothing to do with them. They feel like it has everything to do with them. So they develop that negative framework of self. They take on that responsibility, right? And in adult relationships, we see a very different approach. So the avoidant attachment style, they tend to learn not to seek help from others, versus the ambivalent style is they're more at risk of codependency, boundary issues, to stay in unhealthy relationships, and a host of other symptoms that we see. So, okay, so those are the negative ones. Then up here we have the secure attachment. So we have a positive framework of self and a positive framework of others. This is when a child is in distress and they have emotional needs and they go to that parent delivers and meets those needs consistently, providing a sense of security for the child, right? And they're reliable, they're consistent, they're involved, and they make themselves available to where the child then feels secure, but they also learn to trust as well. And they learn that it's okay to seek comfort from others, which helps them if they ever want to get married or have a romantic relationship later. Because you need to be able to invest yourself and trust others as well as trust yourself. So these are good things. So that's the ideal attachment style for parents that are doing a great job. No one's perfect. No such thing as a perfect parent. Do keep in mind these are generalizations. So don't read too much into them or overthink them. They're just general rules of thumb. So they're not applicable in all circumstances or really rigid rules that we need to follow and be overly concerned about and overthink. This is more of an overarching view of attachment style as a whole, how children attach to their primary caregiver, parent, or whatever adult is taking care of them full time. And that based on that relationship and bond that they develop really can explain a lot of things when it comes to their relational style and how they act as adults when they get older. So, okay? So that's it for you. It's all I have. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to post them below. As always, subscribe. That will help us. And then we appreciate you stopping by. And until next time, we'll see you then. Take care.